Hi, ladies. If you're planning a C section birth, it's quite possible that the following has come into your mind. I'm having a C section birth, so I don't need a birth plan, right? Most of us have been there and have thought the thought that the C section is the plan. But there can be so much more to planning your caesarean birth so that it really reflects what's important to you and what you want for yours and your baby's care. My name's Hayley Creasy, and I am a C-section birth and recovery coach, double C-section mum myself, and I love to support women who are planning for and recovering from elected and unexpected caesarean births. Now, what I want to go through today to really help you in preparing for your C-section birth is everything to do with a birth plan. So when you're having a vaginal birth, the birth plan becomes quite a central part of your preparation. You start to consider what you want from your birth and from your care for you and for your baby. However, when we are having or preparing for a C-section birth, this isn't often the case. Many of us just go into our births thinking, this is a set procedure and I don't have any choice at all. So there is no point in making a birth plan. Has that crossed your mind? I know it's certainly crossed my mind. And with my first birth, which was an emergency C-section due to illness, I didn't have a plan. And I felt very thrown into the deep end and unprepared. The second time was very different. I actually wanted a VBAC, which ended in a caesarean section as an emergency. However, I had a birth plan in place for this situation, which meant I felt very different. Despite my VBAC ending in a caesarean once more, I felt okay with what was happening because I had put my preferences and my plan into place for if this was to happen. So despite it being an emergency, I felt very calm and still very connected to my birth. So I really do recommend that women create a birth plan for their C-section birth. Okay, so first of all, let's have a chat about what a birth plan actually is. Because if you have known for a long time that you are having an elected caesarean birth, you possibly haven't kind of even given it any thought about what a birth plan is and what it's for. So, a birth plan is essentially a document which lays out what you would like from your birth and what is important to you for yours and your baby's care during your birth as well as your recovery. And quite a lot of people don't realize the choices that they still can make around their cesarean birth and recovery. There are plenty of choices that can just help your birth to feel more special, help you to connect to that experience, and then to be able to look back on it again with joy and with love, knowing that you were really active in choosing what you wanted your birth to be. Now, with a C-section birth, it does have to follow a set of standard procedures because it's a surgical birth and it has to keep you safe and to keep your baby safe. But there are still choices that you can make. Okay, now your birth plan is going to document everything out that you hope for. You can write this out, type this out, and go through it with your midwife or your consultant prior to your birth. And then when it's the big day, you can take that with you, and the team looking after you can then use it to support you in the way that you want and need. So you do need it for C-section. That's one really important thing that I do want to convey. So what should you put in it then? That's what a lot of people ask me, what needs to go in my birth plan? What I suggest you start with is what is important to you, what really matters to you for your baby's birth. Sometimes people can answer me that straight away. Perhaps, for example, it's that they would like a gentle caesarean rather than a standard caesarean. Perhaps they want some music on and they want a really nice, calm, quiet environment. Perhaps they want people to take their mind off things and for some nice music, happy, uplifting music to be playing, chatting to be going on. What do you want? What matters to you and what is important? It's a good idea to sit down with your birth partner and go through this. Other things that could be in it could be everything from who's cutting the cord. Do you want skin to skin with your baby? Do you want to keep your placenta afterwards for placenta encapsulation, for example, or do you want it disposed of? Would you like some quiet time? Do you want the music on? Just all sorts of things that are going to make your birth unique to you. And there are lots of choices. How long should it be? That's another question that a lot of my clients ask for me. I highly recommend that it is absolutely no more than one side of A4 paper, and it needs to be really clear and concise and to the point. Your birth team are super busy and are stretched often to the limit as it is, so they're not going to have time to read a whole essay, page after page of preferences and choices and such like. So keep it simple, keep it concise. Take out the fluff and get to the point, and your birth team will really be thankful for that. They'll be able to see exactly what matters to you, what you're really hoping to happen, and be able to support you in that in the best way that they possibly can. So, when should you write your birth plan? That's going to really depend on if you are planning straight from when you know that you're pregnant on having a C-section towards the end of your pregnancy, or if you are planning a vaginal birth. But what I do recommend is probably any time from sort of 20 weeks onwards is a really good time to start thinking about and writing out your preferences for your birth. Now, this can be a working document and it might change as you go through the weeks and the trimesters of your pregnancy, depending on your health, your well-being of you and for your baby, of where you choose to birth, and so on. So it doesn't have to be set in stone from the word go. It can be a workable document. It might just have the absolutely hard nose on it. You know, this, I really do not want this, this, and this to happen. And I really want this to happen. And then you can fill in all the details in between as you move through your pregnancy. Okay, so the next thing then is about variations. So I always recommend planning for different scenarios. So, for example, if you go into labour, perhaps before your C-section date, what do you want to happen? And I know that can frighten some people, and that's not the purpose of mentioning this. If you do go into labour, what do you want to happen? Some ladies think, okay, if all is well with them and baby, depending on the reason that they sort of have elected for a caesarean, they might think, okay, if everything's okay with me and baby, I'd like to try and labour and see how I go. Other ladies think, nope, if I go into labour beforehand, I'm going to go straight to the hospital and I will still have a C-section. So have a plan in place for sort of scenario A, if you go into labour. Scenario B, a nice, calm, elected caesarean birth. And also, perhaps if you are having if you do go into labour, and you then think, okay, I'm going to create a plan as well for if I'm labouring and then an emergency C-section is needed. Covering all bases is going to just help you feel that little bit more in control about your birth experience, keeping you and your baby central to that experience. So I hope that really helps you in starting to think about and craft your preferences for your caesarean birth. If you want to know more about how to write your caesarean birth plan, all of the different things that you can choose when it comes to your care, then be sure to download my Birth Like a Boss workshop, which is going to walk you through each stage of your choices when it comes to your C-section, how to write it out without the fluff, so that it can act as a key communication document between you and your birth team. And it's also going to provide you a template to save you some work so that you can get everything on your template and keep it as that working document that we talked about. So be sure to subscribe. Can't talk. To subscribe to my page and hit the little bell so that you never miss a video from me. And I really hope that you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.